Hey everyone. So if you're getting into Java, you've definitely run into things like ArrayList. But what are they really? And where do they fit in the grand scheme of things? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. We're going to pull back the curtain on the Java collections framework and show you the big picture, how everything connects. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the big question. What even is a collection? Then we'll dive into the three main branches you'll see everywhere: list, set, and queue. We'll also talk about the special case, the map, which kind of does its own thing. And finally, we'll tie it all together and show you why understanding this stuff is going to make you a better programmer. Sound good? Let's do it.
Okay, let's start at square one. We gotta build a solid foundation.
So yeah, let's just ask it plainly. What is a collection really? It's a term that gets thrown around all the time in Java, but what does it actually mean under the hood? The core idea is surprisingly simple. At its heart, a collection is just an object that represents a group of other objects. That's it. Think of it like a digital container, a box, a bag, whatever, that you use to hold your data together. Now, this is where things start to get really cool. Not all containers are the same, right? They all follow different rules. How do they store things? Are they kept in a specific order? Can you put the same thing in twice? These basic rules are what give us all the different powerful types of collections we have in Java. So how did Java take this super simple concept of grouping things and build this massive, powerful framework out of it? Well, it all starts with the master blueprint. Let's check it out. And you know what? The official Java docs actually say it perfectly. The goal was to create a unified architecture. What does that mean? It means we get one consistent way to work with any group of objects without having to stress about the messy behind-the-scenes details. It's all about consistency. And sitting right at the very top of this whole structure, the absolute foundation, is the collection interface. This is the granddaddy of them all. Pretty much every collection you'll use is built on this one blueprint. It is the root. So what does this root interface do? Well, it lays down the law. It defines the basic, non-negotiable things that any object calling itself a collection has to be able to do. Things like adding elements, removing them, checking if something's inside, and looping through everything. This is the common language that all collections speak. Okay, so we've got our foundation, the collection interface. Now let's look at the three main branches that sprout from that root. Honestly, these are going to be your bread and butter 90% of the time. First up, the list. This one's probably familiar. If you've ever touched an array list, congratulations, you've already been working with a list. There's a reason it's usually the first one people learn. It's just super intuitive. So what's the deal with a list? It's all about order. That's the main thing. Every single item has a specific slot, an index, just like a numbered list. You can have duplicates, no problem there, and you grab elements by their position number. It's perfect for anything where the sequence is important. Think of a to-do list or a playlist. All right, next up we've got the set. Now, a set plays by a completely different rulebook than a list. It has one big, strict rule that changes everything. And that big rule is uniqueness. A set absolutely refuses to have duplicate elements. It guarantees that every single item inside it is unique. This is awesome for when you just need to know if something is in a group, but you don't care about order. Think of a collection of unique user IDs. I love this one description of it, a penned-in chaotic grouping of objects. Kind of perfect, right? Okay, our third major branch is the queue. Now, if lists and sets are mostly about storing data, a queue is all about processing data. It's designed for a specific job. Yeah, a queue is all about managing flow. You put things in one end and they come out the other. It typically follows a first-in, first-out rule, or FIFO. The best way to picture it? It's literally a line, like waiting in line for coffee or a list of tasks for your computer to do one by one. The first one in is the first one to get processed. And here you go. This diagram puts it all together beautifully. See? Right at the top, you have collection. And branching out from there are our three main players: list, set, and queue. They all inherit those basic abilities from collection, but then each one adds its own special flavor, its own set of rules on top. Okay, but hold on. I know what some of you are thinking. What about map? I use HashMap all the time. And you're right to ask. Map is, well, it's the special case. It's part of the family, but it's kind of the weird cousin that doesn't show up in the main family photo. And this is a super important point, one that catches a lot of people out. A map is absolutely part of the Java Collections framework, but, and this is the key part, it does not extend the collection interface. It stands on its own. Why? Because its whole job is fundamentally different.
Here's the fundamental difference, side by side. Everything we've talked about so far, list, set, queue, they all store a group of single objects. A map, on the other hand, stores pairs. It links a unique key to a specific value. The classic real-world example is a dictionary. The word is your key, and the definition is the value.
Okay, so that's all the theory, but let's get practical. Why does any of this hierarchy stuff actually matter when you're sitting down to write some code? What's the so what here? Here it is. This is the big payoff for understanding all this. It lets you write way more flexible and powerful code. By referencing the interface, like saying you need a list, instead of locking yourself into a specific class like ArrayList, you give your code freedom. It's a huge concept in Java called programming to the interface, and it is absolutely a best practice. So let's boil it all down to a simple cheat sheet. When you need to group some objects, just ask yourself a few questions. Do I care about the order? If yes, you probably want a list. Do I need to make sure there are absolutely no duplicates? That's a job for a set. Do I need to process things in a first-in, first-out order? Go for a queue. And if I need to look things up using a unique identifier, that's map all the way. At the end of the day, the Java Collections Framework is this amazing, powerful toolkit that you have at your disposal. And now that you see the blueprint, you know not just what the tools are, but why they exist and when to use them. So the real question is, which one are you going to reach for in your next project? Thanks for tuning in and happy coding.